What up everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is gonna be a completely different video than I've ever done. I don't even know if I'm gonna upload this yet, depending on how much I like it when I rewatch this. But one of the most frequently asked questions I get is, I was born and raised in Germany, I lived there for 21 years. Now I live in the USA. How do I like it here? What are the differences? Disc golf scene, Europe compared to US? I've been asked this question so many times, so I thought it's time to make a video on this, what I think about living in the USA, playing disc golf in the USA, compared to living in Europe, living in Germany, and playing disc golf over there. So, this video is completely not to be taken too seriously. This is just what I've experienced over the years, and obviously I'm not going into politics or religion or anything that really matters. So this is just for fun, and here we go. These are the most significant things in my life that I've noticed over the years between Germany and America. Let's go. All right, let's start off with the most obvious, most important thing, driving a car. Guys, this gives me a headache almost. Driving in the USA compared to driving in Germany, it's two very different stories, and I have to start this with the story of my driver's license. I've had a driver's license ever since I've been 18 in Germany. The process of getting a driver's license in Germany versus the process of getting a driver's license in the US could not be much different. In Germany, getting a driver's license is super expensive, and you have to do hours of driving, hours and hours of theory, and studying the rules and everything that happens around your car and on traffic. It's somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 to even sign up for your driver's license. That is insane. And then it's mandatory, I think, to take 15 hours to sit in a room with a bunch of other kids or grown-ups or whoever's getting their license and listening to your driving teacher on the rules and everything about driving. Everything you could ever think of, you have to study before doing the written test, which is insanely difficult. The one in the States was also difficult, but in Germany it's like next level. Then you have to do driving lessons, and every driving lessons in Germany are with a stick shift. This is something that I always thought was kind of weird, because Europeans kind of have a pride about knowing how to drive a stick shift. I mean, I know how to drive a stick shift. In America, why would you know how to drive a stick shift? You just don't need it. Every car here is automatic. I mean, 95% of cars here are automatic. In Germany, it's the other way around. 95% of the cars are manuals. So that being said, I have no pride in knowing how to drive a stick shift. I don't like driving stick shift. It's completely inconvenient. Driving automatic is so much more fun. It's way more convenient. Might be a bit more dangerous, I'm gonna say this. Might be more dangerous because you are way more likely to not focus on driving because it's so easy. With a stick shift, you have to actually use the clutch, change gears all the time, and pay a bit more attention and be more focused on actually driving forward than in the States. But I gotta tell you the story of how I got my driver's license in the States. I thought, me being a driver in Germany when I got my license here 2 years ago, I had a German license plus the international little thing that allowed me to drive in the States. But I wanted to get my own car here with insurance and all that things. Having a US license just made sense. I thought I could go to the DMV and just show my German license, and they say, oh cool, you've been driving for a while, here's your American license, pay a fee or whatever I have to do, end of story. Very different things happened. I went there for the first time not knowing what I was doing. I already owned a car here at the time, which I then learned through complete coincidence that I was driving that car illegally. One day I was at a disc golf course and I left my car open. So the side door of my car was open. Someone called the cops and said, there's an open car here. Cop walked up to me, asked if this is my car, asked to see my license. I showed everything. I was a bit confused what was going on. And he told me I'm not allowed to drive my own car with a German license. Hold on. I'm allowed to drive any car in the US with a German license. except my own car. This might be a Massachusetts thing. I don't know if it's still the case. It might be from state to state different, but my mind was so blown by this law that I can drive any car with my German license except a car that's my own car. That was so weird. And okay, at that point I knew I had to get my American license. Walked up to the DMV, said, here's my German license, here's my visa, this is how long I'm staying, blah, 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 all that stuff, here's my address. And the lady there said, I'm not sure if she didn't know what she was doing. I don't know what the rules are, but obviously you just go with whatever they tell you because you gotta trust someone. And she said, you can trade in your German license for American one, which would mean I lose my German license where I can drive with anywhere in the world without problems. It's actually a really strong license to have. It never expires. At least back when I got it, German licenses don't expire. I would trade that in to get an American license. And I was like, who would do that? Like, this can't be actually how it works. Like, what is going on? She was like, no, that's how it works. You gotta trade it in. And I was like, no, I'm obviously not trading my German license in. So I signed up as basically someone who's never driven a car before, as a complete beginner, taking the written test followed by taking the actual road test. So I had to go through the whole process, sign up for it. I forget how much it was. It was like 30 bucks, maybe 50 bucks or something to sign up for everything. I didn't have to take any classes, which I've heard no one has to take any classes in the States. You can, but it's not mandatory. You can basically just walk straight up to the computer and do your written test. I did the written test the same day of me thinking I'm just gonna get the license without having to do anything. I went straight into the room, did the written test, failed miserably because I was blown away by how much the questions in the US on the written test for your driver's license have nothing to do with driving skills. I think you have to answer like 25 questions or 30 questions or something. And you have to get like, I don't know how many, you can get 5 wrong or something. Within like the first 8 questions, I already had 5 wrong because none of the questions had anything to do with rules on the streets, how to drive, anything about your car. The questions were all about laws, like statistics, like how many accidents are caused by new drivers under the influence of alcohol. And then you should guess the percentage. Like 5 questions of those sorts in a row. And I was like, what has this to do with driving skills? I was like mind blown. I failed immediately, went home, got an app for my phone to study for this test, studied for like a week or 2, went back, passed the test, signed up for a road test, and this is where my mind was even more blown. The road test. I signed up. I couldn't use my own car because my own car didn't have one of these hand brakes in the middle of the car, which you have to have in the States. It was just so weird. So I had to ask my girlfriend's mom's fiance to use his car, and he had to come with me to be my sponsor, it was called, because he was sponsoring his car for the thing and his presence. I'm not really sure what it meant. All right, the tester comes in the car, we say hi. He's clearly already in a bad mood because he probably does that 50 times a day. We start driving. We only go through like a little 30 zone. He tells me to pull over once, get back on the road, 2 stop signs or something, swoop back around, back to the parking lot, over. 5, I don't think I'm exaggerating, 5 to maybe 10 minutes of driving in a 30 zone, super slow, very carefully of course. I passed the test in 5 minutes. I was worried that these are the people that I'm driving with every day on the highways, in the cities, of people that never had to study how to drive, could just sign up for a test that isn't really that much about driving skills. And then the test you take to prove that you know how to drive is 5 minutes through a zone that is only 30. I was like, what? For 50 bucks all in all. Unbelievable, but all this obviously comes back to different cultures, different rules, and in America, you need a car. Most places, unless you're in like New York City, or something like that, you need to have a car to get from to work, grocery shopping, or anything. Back home in Germany, a car is almost like an inconvenience. You don't want to have a car. It's super expensive. Getting a license is already super expensive. And then you're usually quicker by bike, or you're quicker by public transportation like buses, trams. Everything is just so different. That's something I had to get used to. I can't believe how much I'm rambling on my driver's license story. But then let's get to the driving. The slow driving in America. Oh boy, drives me crazy. Massachusetts, you can go a high of 65 miles an hour. In Germany, on a lot of stretches of the Autobahn or highway, whatever you want to call it, there's no speed limit. And the rules of going fast is, if you go fast, you go left. If you don't go fast, you go right. And if you don't go fast and you go left, you're going to be in very big trouble because everyone on the road is going to hate you. And you can even get the cops called on you for driving slow in the left lane. In America, it is so different. It's so crazy how everyone just literally goes wherever they want. I mean, there's a general knowledge of if you go slow, you go right, and most trucks mostly keep to the right. But basically, especially in California, but pretty much in my experience everywhere, people just drive how fast, wherever, whenever they want. Unbelievable to me, and it took me a long time to get used to that and not freak out at people that were in the left lane getting passed by a truck on the right lane. I was like, what are you doing? How is this possible? It made no sense to me, but now I kind of like it, just changing lanes and going how fast and wherever I want. Also the speed thing. In America, it's like normal if the speed limit is 65 to go 80. And it seems like no one has a problem with it. But sometimes that's okay, sometimes it's not okay. Sometimes in a 55 you'll go 80. And everyone is doing it and it's just normal. And if you don't do it, you'll get a mean look. But then if you're in a 40 and you go 50, that's really bad. You'll get pulled over and you'll get in big trouble. I just never really know in the States the speed limit and how okay it is to go above the speed limit. It is so confusing. In Germany, we have these cameras on the side of the road that take pictures of you if you go, I think 10% or above over the speed limit. And I don't know why America doesn't have those. They make so much sense and they would make the streets here so much safer, and you don't always have to be worried here to get pulled over by the police. I don't understand. They just take a picture, send it to your home, you have to pay 50 bucks for speeding, and those cameras are everywhere. And if you know those cameras are everywhere, you don't speed. Because it's not worth it to pay 50 bucks every day because you want to get somewhere 2 minutes quicker. Whew. Wow, driving a car. All that being said, what I like a bit more about driving in Germany, I have a couple things I love in America on the street, which is number one, right on red. For all Americans, it must be really confusing when they go to Europe that taking a right on red is super illegal. It's like running a red light. Like, it's really bad. So you should not take a right on red anywhere but in the US, I think. I'm not sure how many other countries do that, but I love that rule. It makes so much sense, and I don't understand why Germany does not have these rules. It's the greatest rule. It makes so much sense, and it makes everything go quicker. Number two is having the lights on the other side of the road. In Germany, the red light will be on your side of the road, so when you're on the front of the line, you have to look like under your car, try to look up to see the light. It makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know why or who invented that, but America definitely figured out that if you have the lights on the other side of the road, it just makes a billion times more sense, and I always appreciate it when I'm driving here. That was the driving segment, which was already way longer than I thought it was going to be. But next segment, obviously the most important thing in the history of any country, beer. One of the most frequently asked questions is, how do I like the US beer coming from Germany, which has such an old, historical, and deep relationship with its beer culture. And I have to say, just like the driving, it took me a very long time to get used to the beer culture in the States. Most Europeans, or I'm just going to speak for Germans, most Germans think of American beer, the Bud Light, Budweiser, Miller Lite, Coors Light, basically this cheap, kind of gross beers that people just shotgun, people just slam them down to get wasted. But what I've learned here is this wonderful scene in the US of the microbrewing and craft beers. I can tell you, 2014, when I first came here traveling with Avery Jenkins, who is a famous beer lover and stopping at breweries and doing beer tastings, just trying every possible different combination of hops and malts and whatsoever, is like one of the goals on tour. Like, it's just a passion, and we kind of developed a love for it. But the first year, when we would stop at a brewery or even at a pub or anything, and Avery would order like a double IPA or an IPA or an sour or like this coffee stout, I was like, what is this? And I was tasting it and it just tastes like rotten apple juice. And I was like, this is not beer, it's gross. After a while, after like sipping here and there, trying different IPAs, man, I have to say, it is so much better. It is so good. Now I live here in Massachusetts, New England IPAs. There's so many bomb breweries around here with the hazy, thick, juicy IPAs, and I've developed such a passion for it, and the flavors are just insane. I had no idea. 5 years ago, I had no idea about any of this, because in Germany, we have Pilsner, we have Hefeweizen. Basically, that's it. Of course, there's different things depending if you're in southern or northern Germany. I grew up in northern Germany. It was basically Pilsner all the way. Some older people would drink Hefeweizen. That was kind of my understanding of beer. And pretty much every beer would taste somewhat the same, unless you're like an expert and you can taste, oh, the bitterness is a bit different in this one, which I never cared about, but mind-blowing. So I would always order like a Miller Lite or a Bud Light at every brewery or pub we would go to. Just get the lightest Pilsner beer they had, just to have something I was used to. And now I gotta say, it's the complete opposite. Every time I get to a brewery, I want the haziest, the hoppiest, the most intense, the bitterest beer that you have. And I really enjoy the beers. And in Germany, we have this thing called the Reinheitsgebot, which is, I think, a bit old school. I don't know how up to date the rules are with that, but it basically tells you what you can put in beers and how to make the beer, and puts a lot of restrictions on flavors and different ingredients. But as far as I know, in Germany, the microbrewing scene with IPAs and sours and all that is slowly but surely crawling in. I've actually brought like a very good IPA from the States to Germany and had my friends try it, and everyone was just looking at me, shaking their head, and was like, oh my God, you're getting so American, like, what is this? This is not beer. You can't bring this here and have us drink this disgusting juice. And it's always pretty funny how proud people get about their culture and their drinks. And beer, obviously, in Germany is something that is very special and huge to us. But yeah, after 6 years of being here now, I gotta say, the American beer culture and variety is just so much better than German beer, in my opinion. Okay, up next, obviously, from the drinks, we go to the food. A big question I get all the time is, do I miss German food, or what's my favorite German food, or how do I like American food? Obviously, America is famous for big portions, greasy food, anything, anytime, anywhere, and that is awesome, especially being on tour where convenience of eating is a big factor. America is just amazing for food. You can get anything almost anywhere, almost anytime, which in Germany is very different, very different. One of the main foods that I miss most from home is actually kind of considered Turkish food, like the doner kebab, a rollo, Turkish pizza, all that stuff that doesn't really exist in the States. And it's not really German food, it's like a Turkish-German fusion, I think, most of the time. But pretty much at any corner you would go through any downtown in Germany, you would have a little Turkish food bar with fresh ingredients, or at least we think they're fresh ingredients, and they'll just make you bomb sandwiches or wraps, whatever you want. And I really missed that, and I've never found or had a good one of those in the entire US, no matter where I was. So that's probably the number one thing I miss. I gotta say the thing that America does worst, and it's bread. I don't know if it's just because I'm so used to like the German bakeries and German baking and bread, but it is so hard to find good, decent bread in America. It's like either that it's way too hard, terrible flavor, or it's just, you can just like press it down. It's super hard to cut. You can't even put butter on it because it like rips apart right away. Any bread in the States is usually terrible. I'm just gonna say it like it is. It is not good. It is just not good. And I don't think anyone can argue that German bread is like one of the top-notch things in the world when it comes to bread. So hopefully one day I'll find a good bakery in the US that makes German-style breads. Okay, before we get to disc golf, one last thing, and it's grocery shopping. In the States versus in Germany. Oh my God, so different. Number one, the sizes of everything. It is so crazy to walk through the aisle for me and see a gallon of milk. In Germany, obviously we measure in liters, and I'm not sure if you have liters here, but a liter is basically like a Tetra Pak, like this size. That's for me a normal jug of milk. But in the States, like everyone has these gallons of milk. It's, for anyone in Germany that doesn't know what a gallon is, it's like this big of a bottle filled with milk, and that's like the normal here. Took me a long time to get used to that. Also like the size of a cereal box or something, just like over-dimensional sizes of, off topic, but the sizes of plates you get at a restaurant, just like who eats that much? Insane. Another thing shopping that I had to get used to is the usage of bags in the States. In Germany, it's so normal to bring your own bags to the grocery store. I know people in the US do that too, but it's not like as standard. You bring your little bag to the store and fill it up. Actually, at the store, if you don't have your own bag, you have to pay to get a plastic bag. Because I think the economy is just really trying to avoid the usage of too many plastic bags. And you can also get a duffel bag at the grocery store as well, which is going to be like twice the price or more of a plastic bag. That's the main reason people bring bags to the stores, because you got to pay if you don't have a bag, which I think is a great idea. Make people pay 25 cents for every plastic bag, and people will start bringing their own bags, and we save billions of plastic bags a year. Another thing with the bags is kind of funny. The amount of bags are used for one shopping tour here, it's insane. It's crazy. Sometimes I'll see they have this little plastic bag and they put like 2 apples in it, and that's the whole bag. Or they put 1 jug of milk in there and that's the bag. Sometimes they'll even double bag with like 1 piece of meat. 2 bags for 1 piece of meat. Unbelievable. In Germany, you stuff that bag as full as you can get it to avoid carrying more bags than you need to. And then last but not least is small talk with people at the registers or with other people, whatever, who is ever at the grocery store. Unbelievable. This was probably the weirdest thing to me about my entire US experience, is going up to the cashier, trying to pay for my stuff, and she says, "Hey, how's your day going?" In Germany, I can tell you from experience, that is just something that would never, 95% of the time, would never ever happen. It took me so long to know what to say to that, because I felt so awkward and so weird about someone I don't know, someone at a cashier, asking me how my day was going. At first I was just like, why? Like, why do you care how my day is going? Or, I know you don't really care, so stop asking me that. And I just I was like, just feeling super awkward about it and always thinking like, fine. And I wouldn't even ask, how are you doing? Because I didn't know that was something you had to care about here, because it didn't feel like authentic in a way. But now obviously it's super casual, super easy for me. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? How's your day going? Have some small talk. But that was something I had to practice over probably the first 2 or 3 years of traveling through the States. Is that it was totally normal to ask someone how their day is going, what's up, how are you doing, and actually answer and ask the other person back how their day is going, which in the States, obviously, that's just normal. It would be rude to not do that, or something would be very wrong to not do that. But in Germany, I always say hi, we pay, we say bye. End of story, end of transaction. Pretty different, and I can appreciate both. I very learned to love the American, like, over friendliness a bit, talking to everyone, being super open and friendly. But I also definitely, when I'm back home in Germany, appreciate everyone being kind of like more to themselves. We have a schedule, we gotta stick by that. We don't have time, and we don't really care how you're doing. We don't know you, just hi, bye, thank you. End of discussion. All right, I don't know how long I've been talking now, but let's get to disc golf. Obviously, a lot of people ask me, what's my favorite course back home in Germany? How many courses are there? What's the difference between European disc golf and US disc golf? And I'm gonna start out with just saying straight up, feet versus meters. Oh my gosh, something I had to get used to for so long. I couldn't believe, and I still don't understand, why the USA uses feet and miles and inches and cups, ounces, gallons, Fahrenheit. I can't think of any more, but like, what and why? It is just so logical. The metric system and Celsius is liters, milliliters. It's just, everything makes so much more sense. If I would ask how many cups are in a gallon, who would know that? Who would know that? How many milliliters are in a liter? Everyone would know that. How many meters in a kilometer? Everyone would know that. How many feet in a mile? No one would know that. How many yards in a mile? Not even anyone would know that. It is just crazy. And Fahrenheit, I mean, I know that 32 degrees Fahrenheit equals freezing, which in Celsius is 0, which, duh. And 100 Celsius is boiling. I don't even know what in Fahrenheit, after 6 years of being here, I don't even know what the temperature is of water that starts to boil. I don't know if I'm stupid, but I don't know. And I don't think anyone really knows, because you just turn it on and it starts boiling. You don't need to know the temperature. Oh, that is so weird, and I don't understand. But I'm used to it now. I'm starting to think in miles and to think in gallons and think in feet on the course. I actually think in feet more now than I do in meters. Of course, the courses, it's so hard to say, because in Europe it is so different, because where I was born and grew up in Bremen, Germany, if you go 4 hours north, you're in Denmark. Different language, different culture, different currency. If I go 4 hours east, I'm in Poland or Czech Republic. Different language, different culture, different currency. And if I go 4 hours west, I'll be in the Netherlands. Same currency, but different language, different culture. So it's so hard to compare to the States, where if you go 4 hours in any direction, you're basically still in the same place-ish. At least it's so large that sometimes it seems that way, especially if you're in Texas or in the middle of the Midwest, where you just drive forever in a straight line, and you look on the map and you like barely moved. So it's so hard to compare the two, because courses in Germany to courses 5 hours up in Finland are just such a different world up there. Not really comparable. But the thing you can compare is European players compared to US players. And this is, I think, a very interesting and big difference. Number one thing I want to point out, and I don't want anyone to get offended by this, but one thing I've noticed is that European players after a bad shot will usually blame themselves for the bad shot. American players blame anything but themselves on the bad shot. And I've actually paid attention to this and like actively tried to like notice the differences after bad shots, what Americans will say, what Europeans will say. Obviously this is in general. And it's crazy how after any American after a bad shot, oh, the wind, or oh, the tee pad, or whatever, whatever. They will blame literally anything. Oh, the tee pad was wrong. That's not 350 feet. Anything but themselves on a bad shot. They'll blame an interview they gave yesterday for a bad shot they threw the next day. So it's absolutely crazy, and for me it was very entertaining and funny often to hear what they blame on just making a mistake. And me personally, I always found it important to blame nothing but myself. I sometimes get frustrated, of course, and I blame just bad luck and stuff on my bad throws. But usually I just tell myself, oh dude, you suck. You, like, how do you make these mistakes all the time? You can't make the same mistake twice. Like, come on, dude, what are you doing? And I've noticed that European players will be way more hard on themselves than Americans. They don't do it wrong. It's everything else around them that makes them do it wrong, which is pretty funny and definitely something that I've noticed. Lastly, the American mentality of winning. Something that has been, I mean, of course there's Europeans that are like that, and I'm not saying that everyone is like this, but in Europe it's way more about fighting against yourself, doing the best you can, and then seeing where you end up. In America, and I think that's why the Americans kick our butts a lot of the time, is second place is just first last. Basically, I don't know if that makes sense, but second place is the worst place you can get because you didn't win and the rest doesn't matter. It's winning or you lost. And I think you can generally say that that's a pretty American mentality to have, is that winning is everything, and if you don't win, you lost. And in Germany, or in Europe in general-ish, that second place, for me always second place and third place were awesome achievements. I was like, I did it. I didn't get all the attention of winning, and I don't need all that attention, but I did great. I almost won, and I always felt super happy with second and third place, and I always felt like something was wrong with me for thinking that way as an athlete. But I've totally like come clear with it. Like, I'm fine with it. I'm just, if I play well and I get second, I'm happy. But in a lot of US players, if they play well and get second, that's the worst thing that could happen. I've never understood that. Pretty crazy. Wow, all right. That wraps it up for today. That was way more talking than I anticipated. I had a couple of notes here and I thought, yeah, I'll ramble for like 5 minutes maybe. But this was probably 30 minutes or something, so I'm gonna try to edit this down to my main points. And I'm definitely very passionate about the driving a car thing and the beer and the food, of course. But yeah, those were the main differences that I've noticed between living in Germany versus living in the US. Hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. And I'm gonna say it again, if you have a chance to travel to any other country, to Europe, to Germany, anywhere, Asia, mind-blowing. The differences in cultures, language, currency, and everything, the food. It is so worth it to go there and try to learn and experience how other people do it. What's normal for other people might be so weird to you, which when I came here from Germany, it definitely, things that are so normal here, like buying a gallon of milk, like having small talk with the cashier, to me, were just super, super weird, and it took me a long time to get used to it. Cool, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the awesome support. 70,000 subscribers, man. The 100,000 now seems almost reachable, and if we can hit 100,000 by the end of this year, oh boy, the USDGC could have the 100K party. which I want to invite everyone in a safe way. So